Welcome to the Sailor Noob podcast, where a superfan and a noob talk about the original Sailor Moon episode by episode. I'm your host, Mikan Hana, joined by my co-host.
I'm your co-host, Caliban, because I'm so innocent. What should I do?
We're a couple of magical people ready to moon prison power make up this episode. Sailor Noob is a part of the Just Enough Trope Network. So today we are talking about episode number 13.
Yes. Oh, crap.
What?
This is it.
What?
Well, give us the title.
Okay, I will give you the title.
Now you'll know.
The title is Ona no ko wa Danketsu yo Jadeite no Saigo in Japanese, or Girls Unite, the End of Jadeite. The English translation, and the English title, Fight to the Finish.
I'm not even going to acknowledge that. Take back the Jadeite.
I know, right?
These girls have had it.
Jedi Knight.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so I think you mentioned we always talk about the coming episode at the end of the Sailor Noob taping, and you mentioned how last time how the Japanese don't really seem to care if there are spoilers in the title.
No, they like to frame what's gonna happen.
Yes.
There is no let me just run through a bunch of lady falls down, Dr. Pulaski falls down the elevator in LA Law.
Right.
Billy collapses from a brain tumor mid-trial in Ally McBeal. Like, they're not into this twist, like shock
Right.
you type stuff generally, at least from what I've seen. And so if you're going to have an episode where, I guess, spoilers in the title, the leading antagonist goes the way of the dodo.
Yeah.
They want you to know that's what's coming up.
Right.
And I can respect that to a degree. It isn't like every Marvel movie is just named Marvel Movie 25, and this time it's Thanos, kills everybody.
Well, right. And I guess
It's Infinity War.
Right. And I guess there are sometimes, even in our trailers, they're like, sometimes that the story, like...
Well, that's more just a failure of confidence on the part of the filmmakers, right?
And
or at least
editing
the
the
trailer
trailer.
studios, that they hand the film to somebody and they go, they got to see this ghost clap, or otherwise they're not going to know, what they're in for in this film.
What was
Is this nanny evil or not?
Right. There is a particular trailer that we were talking about recently on another show that you didn't want to finish because you heard the entire movie is basically in the trailer and you didn't want it spoiled.
Bloodshot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Bloodshot, I've read some of the comic book. I'm not super familiar with it.
Sure.
But just the narrative, the 90-minute or I guess 2-hour narrative of the film. Who are these characters? What are their relationships to each other?
Yeah.
Who's going to turn out to be the bad guy? Well, let me guess. It's probably the British character actor that they hired. I mean, I don't know. I probably should have just gone through with it. But I don't like to, when I'm sold on something, I want to just experience it fresh. And if I end up not liking it, that's on me. But I'm the master of preconceptions and prejudice. And so, like a trailer that we saw recently about a film that I've been hotly anticipating, I almost didn't finish.
Oh, I see.
The Color Out of Space trailer.
Yeah, which I think looks
because
fantastic.
because I'm already in. Like, I read the short story. It's one of my favorite Lovecraft short stories. And yeah, I'm in. Nicolas Cage, some of the people that worked on Mandy, Richard Stanley.
I know.
Like, I'm in. And so when they start piling on all this imagery, I don't want to see it because I'm going to see the film. And not to mention the fact that they have translocate. Well, it probably still takes place in New England, but like they have changed it to, they've modernized it. And so that means that they've added extra characters. And so they're doing something with it. And I don't want to know what they're doing with it. I'm in for the premise.
Right.
So let's just release the movie already.
Right.
It comes out in January.
Yes. I'm
as all good
looking
films
forward
do.
to it. Well, maybe they think it's going to underperform, but honestly, I think it might be a sleeper hit. I think that Mandy, I honestly don't even know when it came out in theaters.
Let's just
Wish
make a
I'd
Mandy
seen it.
podcast already. Come
Right,
on.
I know.
Talk about Mandy all the time.
Okay, maybe we should get back on track with Sailor Moon here.
Yeah.
Would you mind, Cal, giving a brief breakdown, first impressions about episode 13?
I would love to.
All right.
We start in the Dark Kingdom, and the spotlights are on our boy JD.
Yeah.
And it's not "this is your life, this is your death." Queen Beryl is very upset.
Yes.
And possibly has some liver problems. Very yellow eyes. Should probably get that checked out.
I think that's just to add to her creepiness.
But she says, "This is your 57th chance, and if you don't get rid of these Sailor Scouts, it's eternal sleep time for you."
Yes.
Which sounds bad. I don't think we've heard about this before. It's bad.
No, and I think eternal sleep was even in quotation marks. And like, I think
in Japanese. What do
subtitles.
katakana quotation marks look
Right,
like?
right?
Wait a minute. Do the Japanese not have like a sense of like ironic text or like representation? They're like, "Oh, that's a real great job" in quotes.
Wow. This is
How
something
do you italicize?
I'm going to look into this.
Okay.
Italicize, I think, yes. Quotation marks, I'm going to have to research and get back to you. That is a fantastic question.
Write it down. But I like how it really is like it's a job evaluation. He's getting his review. Because it isn't just like Skeletor would have shot this guy out of a cannon already. But she's being sort of even-handed. She's like, you've done a lot of good things. You've gotten us a lot of energy. And I guess that means that the energy is... Why don't they matrix these humans? Because all the energy that they've stolen, I just assume went back to people. But I think that they keep some of it.
I think
because
you're right.
In his review, she's saying, you've done some good things.
Right.
You've done a lot of bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, I assume, are good people. Not you. Many people are saying that you're not very... I don't know. You're fired, basically.
I also...
Remember how innocent that used to be? You're fired.
Yeah,
right.
Now it's kind of coded.
Well, anyway, yeah, and so this is his last shot, and he's frustrated. He's Arthur memeing. You see his hand is trembling there. He's ready to go. So he's got to do this, or he's going to fall to the bottom of darkness.
Yeah,
whatever that is. So the pressure is on for our boy. We cut back to Earth, and Usagi is stargazing. And she is actually pretty good at, she knows her constellations pretty good.
Yeah, that was actually kind of impressive. It's like maybe something she cares about.
Makes up, is there a lot of stargazing in Japan? We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
She's actually, she kind of makes up a couple because she's also, daydreaming in love.
Right.
And she sees... I don't feel so bad about forgetting Motoki's name now because she literally says the arcade guy constellation. So clearly she doesn't know his name either.
I feel bad too because I know his name in the English dub. It's Andrew, and then it's just like, why can't I remember his name?
He's just a piece. He's just a snack.
I guess some
eye
candy.
Names are superfluous. Yeah. So she sees arcade guy's constellation. She sees tuxedo masks. Constellation. And then in a weird bit of sort of self-awareness or maybe self-mythologizing for a 14-year-old girl, and never been one, but perhaps they are capable of grandiose self-mythologizing, but she's like, I'm so bad, I'm so unfaithful, I love them both.
I know.
Whoa, look at me. And then it's like, it's all one-sided, I don't know what the problem is. And so then she theorizes that Tuxedo Mask could be Motoki. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
She could combine her two great tastes that taste great together and throw roses with the velocity to impact into concrete, which is a pretty good task when you think about it. Yeah. Suddenly, we get a real Surrender Dorothy moment here. She hears evil laughter. Apparently all of Tokyo hears evil laughter.
Know.
And Jadeite appears in the skies over the city. Again, This is it. Like, if the little people that we're not following in this show have been tracking, like, the apocalyptic seals that are opening, the jewelry store riot, the fortune teller going crazy, this is it. This is like the apocalypse has come.
Yes.
He threatens the Sailor Scouts. He says that they should meet him at Haneda Airport on runway F at 1 a.m. or I guess 1 o'clock, 1 hours. Did the Japanese use 24-hour military time? Or they say okay. It's 5 p.m. I'm off.
I don't. They might use 24-hour military time, but I think they typically use AM and PM.
They must, because I know that I have a Japanese car, and they steadfastly refuse to put daylight savings time and stuff, but it does have AM and PM. So if the Japanese are as fastidious about AM and PM as they are about not observing daylight savings time, yeah, we're probably good there.
Yeah.
Why Haneda? Oh, probably because Jadeite's coming in on a domestic flight. So that's where he needs to meet them.
I don't know why Haneda. I mean, it is a real airport. It is close to Tokyo.
A better view of Mount Fuji.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
He just, maybe he has an in there or something like that. Like, he's like, I know these.
Well,
planes.
they have that Auntie Anne's that he likes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that it's on the west side of the bay in Tokyo, so it would be closer to Minato Ward, where Usagi lives.
Well, that's honestly
so if this all
probably
reflects, the environs of Naoko Takeuchi's, life growing up,
yes,
that would be her house is probably the corridor. She just heard planes all day, so
right.
she's like, now she's going to get her revenge.
Right.
And he says that they don't come. He basically shows them apocalyptic vision of Tokyo on fire.
Yes.
Which again, I want a side story. Who are the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of this universe? I want to follow them. And this is for Jadeite. This is he's on the back foot, so this is a ploy of desperation, but he's pulling out all the stops. The Sailor Scouts meet up, presumably that night, to debate strategy, and you've got the Kirk, Spock, McCoy triangle here. You've got Mars saying, well, we should take the fight to them, and you've got Ami saying, well, I mean, it's probably a trap, and Sailor Moon's just scared. So
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we've been here before. The next day, the radio is actually reporting on this, and we kind of see a montage of some of the locations that we've been to before. We see the breakfast table, the Tsukino breakfast table.
Yes.
Without the kids, so maybe they're at school already. And we go sort of around. We end up in Usagi's school, and the radio says that they think it's probably a prank, but they're going to station police at the airport anyway.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The school room is abuzz about this situation, and everybody says that they want to go to the to see the fight.
Like, there's this horrible vision in the sky, and you're like, yeah, I want to be there.
Yeah.
What?
And it doesn't. I mean, this doesn't pay off because, spoilers, this just drops off. Nobody actually shows up at the fight.
Right.
It's probably for the best. Umino thinks that it's aliens.
Yes.
He would. He specifically says like that they're come to punish corrupt humans.
Right.
The men in this show are interestingly drawn.
Okay.
More to come on that.
All right.
And Miss Aruna says, well, it doesn't matter. No kids are allowed out late at night, so
right.
you should all be home anyway. And Usagi's like, yeah, if you got time to play, you got time to study.
It's like, whoa, watch your words there,
and Haruna's
Usagi.
like, what? Are you okay? Are you feeling sick? And she's indignant that people would not take her seriously, but is she watching this show? Meanwhile, presumably after school at the arcade, we kind of cut into a conversation between Motoki and Usagi, and Motoki is laughing something off. And I think that Usagi is telling him about the threat that's been made to Tokyo, but it becomes clear that he is responding to Usagi telling him that Haruna thinks that she's acting weird because she's sick, which is that's Olympic level self-absorption. And he's like, haha, no, you do say dumb things, but I like girls with unique personalities.
I know.
Which, going to my earlier point, first we got he's the meat on their bones guy. Now we've got this.
Yes.
I mean, like who you like, but he's made his love of unconventional women into his whole personality.
You are not wrong.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like he's oh, girl, no, you're all right. You're a 10.
Right?
Watch out for that guy. Anyway, Usagi is really happy, super happy that he paid her a compliment.
Yes.
And if she was a real person, I'd be worried that she might be a future cult member. Like, where do you want your Nixon tattoo? Yeah, some deprogramming coming up in her future. But while she's skipping home, she accidentally kicks her shoe off. And
oh my God.
More than anything else, this is the evidence of fate. Because, of course, it lands on the head of Smug Guy.
Yes.
As it has in a previous episode. And
yes.
They get in a fight. And again, this is our trifecta of male characters here. But he goes like full MRA on her. And he's specifically complaining like, why don't you talk like a normal girl? And you should smile more. And she's like, no, you know what? There's a guy that likes the way I talk. So blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And Smug Guy replies that every Jack has his Jill, which is like, wow, that's going to be my tattoo, first of all. But that's a hardcore burn. He goes on to say that dust goes in a dustbin, which is like, okay.
That's
a nice way of saying that
really
she's trash.
Yeah.
And now I got to fight him.
Yeah.
And Usagi rightfully starts crying, and Smug Guy's like, well, here's your shoe back. I got to go. And runs off.
Right.
Meanwhile, at the airport, it's night. It's guarded by cops, but Jadeite arrives and puts them all to sleep. The girls try to take a train to the airport in their civilian guises. Why not just transform?
I had that same question.
But anyway, and the train is empty and it's waiting for them ominously, and they get aboard. We have about 90 seconds of just kind of time-killing animation as the girls look out the windows. I understand. And Luna is worried about a trap. She says, you gotta watch out for this trap. The girls get to the airport, and they're sort of hiding behind a thing. They see some of the cops, but suddenly Ray senses the will to kill, which is it's kind of a samurai movie thing. You see that in like kung fu movies or samurai movies.
Okay.
That like they talk about, and this might connect to some kind of Buddhist, or Shinto thing, but you can detect like an opponent's intent. That's why a samurai is at ease, but always also constantly vigilant. So if you walk into a bar, you can like sense that guy has the will to kill.
Right.
Or you could like suppress your own will to kill in order to fool someone into, a sense of
complacency or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it turns out the cops are possessed by evil energy and they all attack the girls. So the girls have to run off and they're being chased down the runway. And they're like, wait a minute, we're Sailor Scouts. So Ray and Ami transform. And they get like a real, I don't know if this is their theme now, but they get like a jazzy theme that's like different than the Sailor Moon theme, which I thought was cool. Usagi also finally transforms into Sailor Moon. And Mercury scans the cops with her RoboCop scanner. And she discovers that they are made of clay. So Mars just nukes them. That's done. And Jadeite reveals himself. And he has seen their true faces, I guess, at this point.
I think he saw them transform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, they don't wear masks. So I
know.
It's like a Superman thing. But anyway, this is a problem now because he has seen them transform. He knows that they are these other girls. And he says, we get a lot of great dialogue from him, which is why he's going to rank high for me on the villain scale. But he says, the life of a flower is short and full of suffering. It's like, you okay, dude? Everything all right?
He is not okay.
And Sailor Moon freaks out because she says beauty and misfortune go hand in hand. So clearly I'm going to die. And Mars and Moon get in a fight about who's prettier.
Yes.
But come on, pull it together, girls.
I know.
This whole episode you've been put down by men. We gotta stand for the women here.
Yeah.
Jadeite has a power we didn't know about. He mentally controls a passenger jet to run over the girls.
I know.
And several, actually. So they're being chased around this runway. And Mars, I think, has the right idea. She just wants to blow them up. But Luna is suddenly worried about property damage.
This is the first we've heard
and she reminds
of that.
them, that a single plane would be more than all of their allowances put together until they die. So don't blow up the planes. So they start running away. They end up running out of runway because it ends in the bay. And at the very last second, a thrown rose distracts Jadeite, plunging itself into the tarmac. Tuxedo Mask is here. He faces off against Jadeite. And both of them have, it's like a Superman 2 sort of thing. Like they start flying all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So I guess they can fly. And they sort of wrestle around and they go into the bay. And we don't know what happened. A single rose emerges from the depths. And then Jadeite rises from the water alone.
Yes.
And he's in full villain mode now. He's like, ha, 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 ha. He's dead. And you girls can't do anything without the help of a man. And the girls fight back. Mars says that only old men think women are helpless now. I wish that were true, Ray. I really do. Have you met Umino? There are a billion Uminos on the internet, sadly. But I agree with the idea. Mercury joins in that she points out that scorning women is positively feudalistic, which is she's growing on me. Yeah. And Usagi, of course, just yells, "Down with sexual discrimination."
Yes.
This is getting getting idealistic for a kid's show.
I know.
Yes, Jadeite is the arrogant man, of course, and sexism is the girl's spinach. So they're ready to fight. Jadeite starts giving with the force lightning, and the planes start up again. And Luna, of course, is the coach, and she's like, all right, here's what we have to do. Forget the planes. We got to go after Jadeite. So Sailor Moon is going to be the decoy, and it's just going to keep running in one direction. Dumb Bunny, 4 out of 10. Not too bad, but still 4 out of 10. And we do our individual powers. Mercury distracts him, and then Ray uses her skill. She hits him from behind with a prayer slip.
Yeah.
Which discombobulates him. Now the Jets are after him. I guess it sort of confuses or reverses his powers. And he is trapped in by Jets. And Usagi tells him, leave women alone. And we get that moon tiara action, which interestingly he dodges.
Yes.
But while he's doing that, he turns around and, it's the 310 to hell. He gets run over by a plane. And ends up back in the Dark Kingdom. And he pleads with Beryl that he should be saved. He's learned the IDs of the sailors, but alas, that's it. He's out.
Yeah.
Goes into eternal sleep.
Yes.
And right away, serving number 2, next up as strategic commander, we get a glimpse of a long-haired, red-eyed dude, all in shadow, in a sort of military uniform. He looks like Admiral Thrawn on his gap year. Back at the airport, the girls are mourning the death of Tuxedo Mask, but he pulls a full Last Crusade on them, and he's totally alive.
Yeah.
And the girls are like, who are you?
I know.
And he says, I can't tell you yet, but farewell. And
Yes.
he takes off.
So, still mysterious.
And that is the end of this chapter.
Yes. Whew. So much happened in this episode.
There's a lot that happened.
Yeah.
Welcome to Virtual Theater. I'm Andy Spiteri.
And I'm Gooey Fame.
The day bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
If you're a gamer, a movie buff, or both, you're going to want to check out our podcast on video game movies and the stories that shape them.
Luigi, it's a mushroom. Come on.
Trust the fungus.
We let you decide which movies we cover via Twitter poll. So be sure to follow us on Twitter at Virtual Theater X.
Right, you can hear him talking.
Yeah. Pika, pika, pika.
They can't understand me, kid.
And give us 2 thumbs up by subscribing on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The fate of billions will depend upon you. Sorry.
We are a part of the Just Enough Trope Network.
So, for Kyoru Miru, curiously looking around elements of Japanese culture within this episode, I chose something kind of minuscule. So when Mercury was analyzing the fake policemen who are made out of clay, it said on her visor, Directive Haniwa.
Oh.
And haniwa are traditional Japanese burial figures, and they're made out of terracotta clay.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
like that's China, the soldiers and the P.F. Chang soldiers. You know, they're not from Shi Huangdi's too, right? The first emperor of China.
Most of them are not as large as that.
Correct, P.F. Chang.
But so they're used in rituals buried with the deceased as burial items during the Kofun period, which is 3rd to 6th century AD.
Okay.
And their meaning and the way they were used changed over periods of time. Haniwa were made using the wazumi procedure, which is like coils of clay, and then you build upon that coil by coil.
Oh, okay. Like you stack them together, and then you make some pots like that. I made a pot like that in grade school.
Exactly. They are hollow clay figures. Haniwa means in Japanese circle of clay.
Okay.
It's referencing how they were organized, usually a circle above the tomb. And the first forms of haniwa were just like cylindrical, like pottery. But then they became much more detailed, ranging from like farm animals, a lot of horses, houses, weapons, household items, tools, and then human figures.
And pachinko machines.
Right. Exactly. And besides being sacred and ornamental reasons for safeguarding their dead in the afterlife, these figures provided a kind of barrier wall for the entombment mound. So at first, when the haniwa first were developed, they were placed directly on the burial mound. And years later, they created a circle or like a barrier to like the special burial mound area. So it was kind of like a barrier wall out of like clay figures.
Never let anyone touch you in your burial mound area. So like when she, okay, so that I guess that's a complaint. Like when she bakes him with the fire soul, they should have just they just kind of disappear. But they should have been like statues then, like just cop statues.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. That would have been something to see and to behold.
I feel like a lot of things blew up in kilns when I was in art class in school. Did you run into this?
Oh, yeah.
You would work so hard on your pot. You would glaze it and everything.
Yes.
They go in over the weekend. You get there on Monday. Where's my pot? And it's like, we had an explosion in the kiln.
I feel like that happened a lot.
Stupid horse goes up and the shrapnel takes out everybody's project.
Right.
And you all get an A. But you got nothing to take home.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, you've got a bunch of like 11-year-olds folding clay a million times.
Yeah.
Isn't there some way to make sure, how do professional potters make sure there's no air bubbles in the clay?
That is a very valid
well,
question.
whatever it is,
send
it to, they're dead by now, but send it to my art teacher in 1989.
Yeah. One other quick thing about the haniwa, so the ones that there were some that were kind of dressed as like soldiers, that like had weapons and armor. They were thought to protect the spirit, but also maybe be vessels of the spirit, like hold the spirit inside of them and help them through the afterlife.
Okay.
So. And
to bring you an order of pot stickers. It's P.F. Chang's. It's P.F. Chang's humor. I don't know a lot about Japanese astronomy. This whole thing is about moons and stars.
That's true.
This whole show. So I think we'll have to definitely educate ourselves going forward. But I did look around a little bit and I found some interesting things. Japan, like a lot of early cultures, has been looking at the stars for thousands of years.
Sure.
So they have a lot of ideas about it. They've got their own sort of constellations and stuff like that. That's where my knowledge kind of drops off. But I do know that the name Mitsubishi means 3 stars, and no, I'm not going to make this car commercial wisdom. But Mitsu is star, and the Mitsuboshi is the belt of Orion in Japan.
Oh,
those three stars.
Sure.
Assuming Boshi means belt, and it's those 3 stars that are the most important group of stars in Japanese culture. It's supposed to symbolize their cultural values. Now, specifically how, I don't know yet, and I'll be back on a future show to talk about that. But just like a lot of Western cultures, like that's a very important thing. Constellation. Because if you're a primitive person.
Yes.
Also, there are you are. No, like you live in an earlier time and you're kind of just learning to make straight lines, build houses, and you've got math going, and you look up in the sky at the random stars and you see 3 stars that are almost in a perfectly straight line, and you go, this means something.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing that Umino has. He'll talk your ear off.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a lot of websites about this. But I just found that very fascinating.
No, that is really interesting. I love hearing stuff like that, and just how there's so many different bits of culture that are dispersed throughout these episodes.
And it's funny because it's a country that is very thin. It's a very it's a
long and narrow
country, but it's also very mountainous.
Yes.
So but it's also very urbanized. So there are some areas you've got all the problems, but also all the advantages for stargazing. There's probably a lot of light pollution.
Yes,
in the urban areas.
I think that is definitely true.
But I know I was looking around, like on travel sites and stuff, and I know that there are retreats and like vacation destinations.
Yes.
In the mountains that you can go to specifically for stargazing. I'm sure that there are like large telescopes, on some of their mountain peaks.
I'm sure there are
so,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Itadakimasu with Usagi. Nobody really eats anything in
Nobody
this
has
episode.
time to eat.
I know, but I did want to come back to something that was brought up last episode. We were wondering what the drinking age is in Japan. It is 20 years old.
20.
So, yeah. I had a feeling it was under 21. I just couldn't remember how much younger.
It's fairly commensurate.
Yeah.
It's not a European drinking age.
No, it's not.
That's interesting. I mean, maybe we'll talk, again, it's a kid show, but maybe we'll get a chance to talk about the culture of drinking and alcohol in Japan as well.
Yeah.
Which is vast and also is very interesting because they have like their own baked in traditions, but they also, there are a lot of things that they embrace on the Western side as well.
Yes.
Some of the best like whiskey bars in the world are in Japan, in Tokyo. So yeah, I think that's really fascinating. But yeah, 20, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's like a level of like responsibility where it's like, okay, we've got some of the longest life expectancies.
Right.
Why we don't want to rush to, start drinking some Sapporo or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. It's not like Finland where it's like, hey, 8, show me your tricycle license. Okay. Here you go, kid.
I know. My heart is a kaleidoscope. I thought, there wasn't a lot of like differentiation fashion in this episode. So I thought maybe we could talk about the Sailor Scouts uniforms.
Yeah.
Because we haven't actually done that yet. I think it's interesting that like Usagi's uniform is kind of the most similar to her school uniform. It's blue and red, like her school uniform is.
Maybe I'm not. Oh, so okay. So yeah, I was actually looking at that myself since we're getting them all on the screen, and I was trying to. I don't know. Maybe I just don't have enough of an eye for accessories, but I was trying to differentiate their outfits.
Yeah.
And while I waste time, you're probably about to tell me, but I was trying to figure out like what the differences really were between them.
Well,
there's a lot of little bits on Sailor Moon's costume that you don't think about, like her choker. Or the like extra like ribbing that she's got like on her gloves and stuff like that.
And they all have that extra ribbing and the choker, but Sailor Moon's choker has a star on it. And I think both Mercury and Ray's are just like Mercury's is blue and Ray's is red, and there's no charm.
Oh, okay. And they don't have the brooch either.
No, they have some sort of gem, but it's not like the crescent moon or anything like that. Like Ami's is blue and Ray's is red. Ami is like just wearing like 2 different shades of blue, and then Ray, very interestingly, I mean, red makes sense, but she's red and purple, which is kind of an interesting combination. I think that a lot of people in Western culture would associate that with older ladies and getting together and being radical, the red
hats.
Yeah.
I just think it's trying to make it as warm as possible.
I think you're probably right.
And you'd think fire, let's go into orange.
Yeah.
But inside info, I know we've got some orange coming up. And so they're trying to just, they were conceived as a unit to complement each other.
And we want to differentiate.
Yeah.
A couple of other small items. Sailor Moon's earrings are crescent moons.
Okay.
And they're dangly. And Ray's earrings are red stars.
Right.
And they're dangly. And
that's kind of Wonder Woman.
It is a little bit, yeah. Ami's are just blue studs. So, but she has, a computer visor that comes out of her.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, your RoboCop thing comes out of it.
Exactly. So you got to, differentiate somehow, right? So our villain gauge, where we rate a baddie 1 out of 5 dark stars, 5 being the most wicked. I guess we're rating Jadeite,
the man himself.
Yeah, because there is no Yoma in this episode. It is just him front and center.
He's arguably a Yoma.
I guess he's a monster of a person.
I don't know.
I don't know
He's
if he's
evil,
a person.
Yeah, I don't know. He's an evil spirit.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess Umino thinking that they're aliens. I mean, we don't know what the Dark Kingdom is, so I don't know. But Queen Beryl, as we've talked about, is very displeased with him.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go. I did think it was kind of interesting. There's always been like a bunch of bad guys kind of in the background
like
whenever she's talking to him.
Yeah.
And we never heard any sound from them at all, except when she mentions eternal sleep. They're all like in uproar.
Whoa.
Like, like all these background noises.
Right.
I also was kind of interested that, like, why didn't we see what his, like, actual powers were until, like, this episode? And is it, like, lightning? Or, like, does he have control over, like, transportation, like, vehicles? Or is it just specifically planes? Is that why he picked the airport?
Is his outfit a pilot's uniform? Is that what's going on? I don't know. I mean, I would like to think that it's something specific like that, but I really just think it's ultimate bad guy can do ultimate things.
Sure.
Or more a sense of this show doesn't really dig into like Japanese superstition a lot, not yet at least. But I do kind of think of these guys as like ghosts or like demons,
ghouls.
You know? Yeah. So his power is to like possess and like control things. Mm-hmm. It is very specific that it's at the airport though, and I would love to come up with some headcanon explanation, but I want to be straightforward and honest with our audience.
Yeah.
And I really just think this is the next stop on Naoko's tour of her neighborhood, basically.
Right.
She's like, ooh, the airport, that'd be a big showdown. She was prefiguring Civil War. Right?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, just a big fight in an airport. And,
a showcase.
But he's, he can shoot lightning and he can put people to sleep. And, he's a multitasker.
Yes, he is. I feel like I kind of want to dock him points for not being like a really great bad guy. But at the same time, it's like he was like the big bad for like the first 13 episodes, you know?
It is what it is.
I feel really torn between giving him a 3.5 or a 4. I kind of want to give him a 3.5 just because I don't think he is as good at, getting energy and that sort of thing as he could have been.
He's gotten some energy.
He has.
But he's also allowed 3 main characters to come into their full power.
I know.
Over the course of his
I know. Thing. And I mean, the Dark Kingdom didn't even know they existed, but, they showed up at the same time that the Dark Kingdom decided to show up. So,
well, we don't know how long they've been draining energy from people.
That's true. We don't. And maybe Jadeite got a promotion at some point or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, World War II could have been their fault.
Yeah, that's
we
true.
Don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Who are all those guys in the cocktail party that we don't see? Maybe Hitler and Mussolini are back there. Like we don't know the situation. Well, I wish you could give half ratings. That would allow you to give 3.5.
You think that I can't give half ratings?
I've argued with myself every week about whether we do or not. I think the answer is always no.
All right, fine. Then I will. I guess I'll give him a 3, but I feel kind of let down by that. But that's what I'm going to do.
It is what it is.
Yeah. How about you?
I'd have to give him 4.
Okay.
He had a tough job.
Mm-hmm.
You think that you're just going to be setting up jewelry sales and telling fortunes, and you got your day job at the gym.
Yes.
And you got to wrap that up in time to get to the studio for midnight hour.
Yes.
And you got a lot going on, and you're a manager too. You got to do reviews. You got to do the HR stuff because Daryl doesn't want to do anything. You got to do that yourself.
No.
So it's he had a tough job, and then these 3 girls come in and ruin everything, and he is just trying to do his job and just try to move up in this organization, and instead he moves all the way down to outer darkness or whatever it is.
Yeah, eternal sleep.
So but he had a lot of good ideas. Some of them not so good.
Yes.
I think I'd call out what was the time thing?
The time.
We never actually see them getting any energy from anybody. It looks like he just caused chaos in Tokyo.
Right.
With the clock thing.
Yeah.
And the Chanela thing wasn't so bad. I think that could have had a lot of, people keep pets for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
If they live for a long time, you're getting a little drip of energy, but it's over a long period of time.
Yes.
See, that's sustainable. That's sustainable evil. So, yeah, I mean, it's not his fault. But at the same time, not a smashing success.
No.
I'd have to give him 4. I respect what he
All right.
did. He did look pretty bad at the end when he was just sort of flailing about, and he got beat by a guy in an opera cape.
I know.
And a bunch of girls. So
I know.
So I give him 4.
Okay. All
to
right.
honor the work that he did.
All right. I do feel kind of bad. So I don't know if you caught it or not, but there was another RoboCop reference in this episode.
What?
Yes. Sailor Mercury's Mercury goggles had the phrase arrest mode on it.
Yeah, that was the same. Yeah, I saw that. She arrest moded in the last time, didn't
All
she?
right. Yeah, maybe she did.
I thought so. Maybe not. Yes.
So
is that who is that?
Who is what?
Who would make a decision like that? Was that like Junichi Ito or whatever the director is?
You know, I don't know who would.
Who says I'm going to slip RoboCop Easter eggs into this Senshi show?
I don't know if it was Naoko Takeuchi or if it was like one of the guys doing the anime.
Because they're guys.
Well, I just don't know. I'll have to look into that.
Stop down with sexual discrimination.
I know that Naoko Takeuchi put a lot of cultural touchstones in the manga, but when they translated it into English, they made them American, references.
Hey, dude,
yeah.
Want to trade a pog for this cheeseburger?
And it's just like, what? Why are you doing this? But I guess it's so you wouldn't know who the Japanese person is, so you'd have to look it up.
Oh, so, it's like watching a British chat show or something like that. And they're like...
Yeah, and they're talking about some British star.
My hair looked like Forky Badookies.
And you're like, who's that?
What?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it was.
All right. Well, then I approve.
Okay. I did have a fun fact about...
I love fun facts.
About Rei Hino. Did you know that Rei from Neon Genesis Evangelion is named after Rei from Sailor Moon?
No.
Yes.
They're nothing alike.
I know, but she is named after her.
Why isn't Asuka named Rei and Rei named Asuka in that case? Because
I don't know.
We talked about this, I think, last episode.
Yes, we did.
Rei is our, if our Tsundere tracker is going off here.
Yeah, but I don't think she ever really mellows a whole lot.
Fair enough. And specifically, she is connected to the moon is very important in Neon Genesis Evangelion. Yes. So if Hideki Anno, who it's not actually Studio Ghibli, but he worked with,
right?
Inside joke about an anime fight I got into. But like, if Hideki Anno, was a fan of Sailor Moon, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But then they go off and make a show that's very much about the moon. It's super important, and the character Rei is sort of connected to it in a lot of ways. Why would you name it Rei? I mean, I guess you can't name it Usagi, but come on.
Yeah, I guess not. But I mean, you could have. I mean, it's a reference, so why not?
Just doing something isn't a reference, though.
Yeah, I know, but that's who she was named after, so I just find that kind of interesting.
If I had a show about a guy that ran a deli, and the guy's name was Naruto,
right?
Like, it's a reference. Oh yeah, because Naruto loved sliced meats or something like that. Like, I guess it's just a shout out, or it's sort of like doing like. I wouldn't be surprised if I found out that Naoko Takeuchi went to school with a girl named Naru and a boy named Umino or something like that.
Sure.
It's that sort of just referencing, calling out things from my life. But I don't see the connection though.
Yeah, I don't know what the connection is.
Isn't Rei just a name?
Yeah, Rei is just a name.
All right, so there you go.
Oh, okay. Well,
did you know that Shinji is actually from Go Nagai manga from 50 years ago?
Okay, sure.
No, I just made that up.
Oh, okay.
I'm
gullible.
Well, now I'm double mocking you.
So another thing that does not actually reference Rei Hino.
I'm having so much fun with these facts.
Okay. So fans.
Where were these facts when Rei was introduced?
Well, I read her Wikipedia page, so. But so fans thought that in Mark Millar DC comic, I think it was a Justice League comic. Sorry, Mark Millar. That Martian Manhunter morphs into a female Japanese journalist named Rei Hino, and Batman states that the name is a quote-unquote giveaway. But
why? Are they infiltrating Viz Media or something like that?
Well,
What's the giveaway?
Somebody thought it was a reference to Sailor Mars.
It clearly is.
But
what's the point of Batman's comment?
Mark Miller says it is not a reference to Sailor Mars.
Well, you know what? I was about to say I felt like an icy chill down my spine that Mark Miller enjoyed Sailor Moon, and I did as well. Like, I did not want that. The show almost ended, so thank you for pointing that out.
So Mark Miller said, quote, I was told it translated the name, Rei Hino, translated loosely to Poet of Mars, which is what John's occupation was back on his home world. It had zero to do with Sailor Moon, end quote.
All right.
So supposedly Batman thought it was a giveaway because it translated into Poet of Mars.
Yeah, but just don't tell anybody your name.
I know.
Or just pick a different name.
I know. So...
You're doing some great work. Great work, Mark. It's looking great.
Okay, so I thought we would get to our rating of the episode. I am going to give it 3 roses out of 5. I kind of wanted a little bit of a better ending for Jadeite. I think he got a pretty good send-off, but I think it could have been even better than it was.
I have to agree. I wanted to honor Jadeite by giving him a pretty good rating, but we've talked about trying to leave room, future space for things that are coming up.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I judged just objectively, I have to give it a 3. I don't think that you could have a city-destroying battle with the first bad guy if there's going to be a succession of 24 bad guys who are the supreme commanders or whatever they're called, strategic commanders. So, yeah, this has to be just low stakes, fittingly. But I did really, things that I liked, I appreciated that it was specifically came down to, because you've got a girl who can incinerate anybody by looking at them.
This is true.
So right off the bat, and it doesn't have anything human, spirit, whatever. She can just burn things. So we're already kind of set up there. So what are you going to do? It has to be a moral victory. And like I said before, I think this is kind of deep. This is kind of going deep into social commentary.
This is true.
For a kid's show.
Yeah.
And I like that part. I don't know if that's been present the whole show. Sometimes on our other show, Just Enough Trope, when we're sort of making fun of sort of fake woke things, or totally just, enterprises that add social commentary as an afterthought, as gal power sort of things. And this entire show is about makeup and dresses and girls wishing they could grow up to be nurses. And then suddenly it's like, this one guy's like, girls suck. And they're like, no, we don't. We got girl power.
Right.
I'm not saying it's that bad, but it smacks of that to me. Like, you clearly want this. We're following these heroines who are young girls who do young girl things, and that's great and fine, and they have to deal with the problems that girls do. I wish that was more. Maybe this is the part where I'm saying I wish it was more integrated and more mature and developed even for a girl's show.
I think I understand what you're saying.
The presence of it is a huge step, because you could watch 60 years, hasn't been on that long. We could watch a long, long amount of Scooby-Doo, and you'll never see that.
Right.
Until Scooby-Doo gets like weird and meta, like 15 years ago or 10 years ago when it showed up again, it was suddenly like, oh, why are we going down this way, Scoob? Oh, do you ever notice that the backgrounds never move when we run? Or
right.
Not that kind of thing. But if this is the start of something great, I think it's great. If this is just like, oh yeah, let's just, what's the bad guy's thing? Oh, he thinks girls are stupid. And it's like, all right, well, I'd like a little more.
Yeah.
I'll take some more, but I'll take it all through the thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think that he obviously respects Beryl. So, she's a woman.
But this is specifically in the health club episode. He's like, these dumb idiot girls will do anything to lose 1 pound. 1 pound of sweat is 1 calorie or whatever.
It does seem like he is focusing on gathering energy from young girls an awful lot.
Yeah.
Like with the shrine episode,
that's
when
their
we meet
mission
Ray
statement.
too.
Yeah. They do not want that young boy energy.
No.
Although they'll take it.
For the tarot reading.
If they happen to
wander
wander across. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't they, like, target the young boys who are frustrated with the young girls, I just created the internet. It would have happened anyway, everybody. Don't blame any specific figure. That's it. Like the Terminator universe, we will just, no matter what happens, we will create a Skynet-like thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
if misogyny is really their, I'm not giving him any tips, but if misogyny is really their stock and trade and their power, and you want young girl energy, then you need to employ the young boys to get you that young girl energy.
No, I agree with you. And who's going on the internet all the time on the show?
This is the real dystopia. There's no internet. He's got a nice laptop, though. We have seen that.
So my English title for this episode is Showdown Runway.
What was the cheesy, Deke title again?
Hold on. I will get it for you. It is Fight to the Finish.
I'd rather do those.
Yeah?
Or can we switch off from doing... Because I feel like I can top their dumb titles.
Oh, okay.
Rather than doing
we can
English
do that.
titles.
So what is your dumb title for this episode, then?
It would be Final Approach.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
But if I had to do double duty and do another one, it would be... it'd be Electric Sexist. Down with sexual discrimination.
I'm trying to think of what my dumb deek one would be. Maybe that is Showdown Runway. So then what would my English one be if that's not Englishy enough? Jadeite, Tonight.
Drama.
Nothing
Bahama.
is all right.
Muhammad Ali all of a sudden.
I know. Oh, the longer the better, right?
Jadeite, Tonight. Nothing is all right.
We can make it a song. I think it could be very popular. So next episode, we are talking about episode number 14. Arata naru kyoteki nephrite ma no monsho in Japanese. A new enemy appears, Nephrite's evil crest, the English translation, and the English title, Match Point for Sailor Moon.
Oh, man. Why not just call it Match Point? That's like talk radio.
Yeah, I know.
Slim City.
I know.
Match Point.
They just felt the need to.
They can't even do their own crappy thing. You can't even do their own bad job correctly. Well, all right. Should we talk about nephrite, or are we going to save that for next show?
Well, we could talk about them a little bit.
That's a type of jade.
Yes.
So
like
just
jadeite.
Yeah, this is just replacement jade, basically.
Yes. You will find that all of the Dark Kingdom bad guys.
Well, I think
are named after gemstones.
I think I got that.
Yeah. Queen Beryl, of course, too.
Yeah.
So we don't know a whole lot about him. He just kind of appears.
Yeah, I guess we'll learn more in the future.
He's got long hair. He's got a very similar outfit to Jadeite. It must be what the Dark Kingdom disciples wear or what have you. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, Beryl runs a tight ship, so she must be like, this is your uniform. This is what you have to wear.
I feel like a lot goes on that she doesn't know about.
Okay.
She's way too focused on that crystal ball thing.
This is true. We have only seen her standing once.
Yes.
And she was serious when that happened.
Yes. Basically for the trial of Jadeite.
Yes, exactly. So I think we'll definitely get more into nephrite with the next episode, especially if the Japanese title and the translation can be believed.
Yeah.
So.
I can't wait till we get to carbonatum.
Yeah?
What's the fake diamond called?
Wow.
Carbonadium is a fictional metal in the Marvel universe.
Oh.
That's what Omega Red has.
Okay.
It's not quite as strong as adamantium, but it's more ductile and flexible.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I always think of cubic zirconia as being like fake
that's
diamonds.
That's probably it. Yeah, the CZ diamonds, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll get there someday.
Well, that's it for our show this week, and the Name of the Moon will be punishing you next week with another episode of Sailor Noob.
Down with sexual discrimination!